Originating from Zola's dusty streets in Soweto, where he had been inspired by another Kwaito music kingpin, Mandoza, Brown Dash, so named because of his love for brown car dashboards, was street cred personified, and yet he did not claim it. The birth of Brown Dash, whose real name was Siphiwe Mampile, was discovered by the legend Doc Shebeleza, who had his own Kwaito outfit, Amaskumfete. Doc included him in the Kwaito group, where he shared his vocal abilities to the group, most popularly on Zipa. Time, Brown Dash served backup vocals on Mapaputsi's hit song Izinja. It was this talent that caught the attention of TS Records co-founder TK Mnisa.
Brown Dash will identify him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Brown bekwa must confide. Say, "Shale nama kuzo kuyovalwa uBrown ucula lapha." Yeah. You know, you shocked and
yeah.
Brown Dash was identified by me. And uBrown Dash mayisuka ngahlangana no TK athi man ngiyancanya lentwana before Brown Dash awucula no Mapaputsi uba nokhulumula izinja ha.
Yeah.
Phela uBrown uyacula la. Bebamfihlile.
Okay.
Ngalanda uTK ngathi intwana yami icula.
Before the release of his debut album, Brown Dash was unsigned, but gained an even wider audience in 2002 as the vocal talent that sang alongside the masked Mzegezege. Both were under the guidance and distribution under Lance Stir, co-founder of Ghetto Rough Records. When he appeared on the scene in the typical township Kwaito star look of a green prison warder jersey, khaki shirts, Dickies chinos, all-stars, and a tilted woolen scully, the boy from Zola, Soweto, made his presence felt. When Mzegezege became a music phenomenon with Skuganga Madolo, Brown was by his side and became the face of their collaboration. They further collaborated on multiple songs on Mzegezege's albums, namely Amakoporosh, Age Kugogo, as well as Izinyoga, which contributed in Mzegezege's albums reaching platinum status. Brown Dash released his debut album Puff and Pass under the recording label Ghetto Rough in 2002. The album, which was produced by Goofy, Cleo, and Mdu, comprised of 12 tracks featuring Mzegezege, Nhlanhla of Mafikizolo, and Zola. The title track Puff and Pass featuring Zola and Mzegezege was produced by DJ Cleo and served as the official single of the album. DJ Cleo would often pick up Dash in Soweto to record the song, and with DJ Cleo on the production, Puff and Pass served as Brown Dash's breakout hit that made waves around local radio. The song was more than just a song about puffing and passing Zol, but also the sharing of ideas which were depicted in the music video. Speaking to IOL, Dash stated that the album is a compilation and reflection of my personal experiences, and when writing his songs, he said that his thoughts are shaped by life encounters and people around him. He challenges artists to write music that inspires people to buy. We will have to come back to the statement with regards to recent discoveries of Brown Dash's credibility in writing his music, but for now, let's dive even further into his career. The final single of the album, Mgezeni featuring Ntando, introduced a much more romantic side of the artist to the local audience. Ntando, who was signed to TS Records, and Brown Dash proved to be the breakout stars in the genre. The music video featured his soon-to-be wife, her friends, and their adorable daughter. Vampires reached gold status, selling 25,000 units by its fourth day of release. The album received critical acclaim and was praised for its innovative sound and lyrical depth, earning Dash several awards, including a Summer Award for Best Kwaito Album. Brown Dash's rise to stardom was incredible to watch. The guy contributed to Mzekezeke's rise to success, and with that, DJ Sbu decided to officially leave the Ghetto Rap stable to continue growing his TS Records label, which he co-founded with TK Ngiza. And seeing Dash's potential, he brought Dash along to sign to TS as the first major Kwaito star of the label. This, understandably, made Lanster quite unhappy, as he stated, "Well, we worked together, but they left and went to CCP because there was no contract. They left because they were not happy, and I guess they wanted to drive big cars very quickly. I don't think they understood the industry and how it works. They just wanted to make cash quickly." But then, that was his loss. Life had to go on for Dash, and he had to milk his talent and create an income for himself. Under TS, Dash released his second successful album, Mthandazo Wabolova, in 2004. It was this album that was to go down in Kwaito history as a classic, and it won the Best Kwaito Album of the Year at the 2005 Summer Awards. Mthandazo Wabolova had Brown joining forces with Mdu and Goofy, both who played the central production role of crafting the sonic direction of the album. Others who lent a hand on the production are Robbie Malenga and Mojalefa Tebe, while Bricks, Sashman, Mzekezeke and Mdu himself lent guest vocals. Panskom Tunzwelanga won Summer Song of the Year award that same year. This win was a breakthrough for other aspiring Kwaito artists from the township to believe that they can create Kwaito hits that outshined contenders for Song of the Year at the biggest music award show in the country. In the song, Brown Dash painted a reflection of a society in which the youth was desolate and desperate for change in policies to better their livelihoods. And who could forget the album cut Nomalizo, where he sings about the love he has for his wife wholeheartedly. The catchy hook and backing vocals over the Mdu production makes it an unforgettable record. Vum Vum featuring Mdu and Bricks served as one of the most iconic South African songs of all time. Melo production by Mdu Masilela and strong appearances from the two artists complemented Brown Dash's big persona and chesty vocal projection. An appearance from the late Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns and Bafana Bafana midfielder Gift Leremi made the video a cultural moment at the time. Dash's reign as the hottest artist out continued that same year when he was asked to be featured on the Yizo Yizo 3 soundtrack on Kabelo's Amasoja. If you ever feel the need to get into Kwaito music or learn about the Kwaito genre, I would definitely put Mthandazo Wabolova in the top 10 Kwaito albums to listen to. This album and era goes down in history as one of the best to ever be produced in the country. The September release of his third album, Dashboard, produced by Godfrey Goofy Pelani and Mandla Spikere, saw Dash mixing South African disco music, hip-hop, R&B, and a heavy dose of American and British house music. Some of the outstanding irresistible dance beats include Amagenge Ami. Brown Dash's lyrics reflect the life in South Africa, and on Amagenge Ami, he addresses issues such as unemployment and poverty. while the track Mickey Mouse is simply about Mzansi's youth culture. Skatsa Khona was his 2006 festive season release, boasting the production greatness of Mdu Masilela, Jabulani Ndaba, Robbie Malenga, and Gabby LaRue. It was well known by those who have worked with him that Brown Dash was a big fan of gospel music, and that reflected in his lyrics on some of his records on his albums. He explored his love of the genre even more on this album, with a record such as Ungalahli Themba. The album also comprised of his signature-sounding upbeat Kwaito records, but the singles were a bit mid. Ayoba Yo was a single that sounded nothing like his previous works. Although the hook consisted of a popular saying in the hood, it just did not suit the Kwaito artist we were so used to, whose music carried lyrics with a lot of substance. Adding on to that, Kwaito was a genre that was fading out as the surge in hip-hop, soul, and house music took over the radio and music channels, resulting in the album failing to reach the success of his previous works. In 2007, 1 year after the release of Dashboard, Brown Dash shocked fans when he announced that he was leaving TS Records, along with his stablemate Ntando. The reasons at this time were rather confusing. One story stated that he was leaving because he had discovered TS Records was cheating him. The other, that he owed a substantial amount of money to the taxman, which the label allegedly refused to pay. A source close to Dash had insisted that he was having trouble with the taxman and decided to jump ship because TS Records were not interested in helping him. The source stated he has been having problems with the taxman for quite some time because the record company inflated his sales. He is also still owed by the company for gigs he did in the past. Brown Dash has played gigs, but he does not have anything to show for it. In January 2004, a Sunday newspaper gossip columnist claimed DJ Spoo was allegedly paying Brown Dash 1,000 rands a show, even though his alter ego Mzege Zege charged 25,000 rand a gig. Now, because of the many allegations of TS Records cheating their artists of money, it's hard not to believe these allegations. Brown Dash was always seen driving a Mini Cooper that he had bought through TS Records because he was not credit-worthy. But they did confiscate that from him when he left the stable. All of this made me wonder that since he was allegedly cheated out of his monies, was he actually renting his home in Fourways at the time? Or was that credited to him by the label as well? I mean, we have seen this play out before with Ambitious Entertainment. But let's just move on from that. Shortly after his departure from TS Records, Dash was scouting for a record label to fall back on. Luckily, he landed on the right talent named DJ Cleo and signed with his Will of Steel production. But he was fired shortly after he denied on national television that he had signed with the company. I'd like to think it was deeper than that though. According to Times Live, one source alleged that Cleo wanted him to badmouth TS Records, which is something he was not comfortable with. On the other hand, it was alleged that Cleo said he just couldn't work with lazy people who were busy with drugs.
Mind you, Brown can't write.
Oh, is it?
Okay. Oh, wow. He gets written for. If he writes, he repeats old lyrics. That's why Vroom Vroom is a repetition of the same song on the Puff and Pass album. Same chorus.
Oh, wow.
So Zola comes in to help. Zola comes up with the chorus. Awukusukela izolo ngishisa izolo ngifaka umbona zishetso tsa Puff and Pass imnandi ngendebe iningi lento, and then he does the amzala utai and he leaves. I'm recording Zola as a guide. Dash is supposed to listen to it and repeat it. He repeats it sharp. Now write something else. Dololo.
We have no knowledge of Brown Dash's alleged drug usage, but his work ethic could be a contributing factor to the deterioration of his career at this point. Even so, it's kind of sad when you think about all the other hits they could have produced together. In light of claims by DJ Spoo and Cleo that Brown Dash did not write his lyrics, I could not imagine Dash continuing in his stardom without writers and reference tracks. Do we love Dash? Sure we do. But his talent was not in his pen, but rather his delivery and character. Unfortunately, it's hard to rely on just one without a camp that provides the other. Back to Kasi served as a more solid project for the Kwaito rapper who proved that he is in fact still capable of releasing a solid project without the backing of TS Records. However, it didn't perform to expectations. The title track Back to Kasi, produced by Spikiri, was a nostalgic Kwaito banger that showed Brown Dash in good shape and was one of the last Kwaito hits at a time when house and hip-hop had taken over. Being a Kwaito artist was a lonely practice, as Brown Dash rapped Ngathi awaseka mapantsula in the song's first verse. The song was nominated in the Best Kwaito category at the Channel O Music Video Awards in 2009. The album failed to match the success of his prior work, but he continued to be held in high regard amongst his Kwaito peers. One of these peers was Spikiri himself. The OG featured him in his 2011 all-star lined-up hit Ngeke Balunge. The gang performed the song at the South African Music Awards in 2012 with a surprise for all of us as we got to see Brown Dash live on stage doing what he did best. Less than 2 weeks after his summer performance, Siphiwe Mampile passed away on the 9th of May 2012 at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. It had come to our attention that he had been in and out of hospital after complaining of chest pains and breathing problems since 2010. He was later diagnosed with pneumonia. His mother came forward and spoke to Drum Magazine, disclosing that her son passed away from AIDS-related illnesses. It is alleged that when Swu, TK, and Robbie Malinga arrived at his home the following day, they received a hostile reception from a man who introduced himself as Brown Dash's uncle. The fellow muso stated, "This man just screamed at them, asking them how much they have as a contribution towards the funeral. They were so upset they ended up contributing half of what they wanted to contribute." The funeral service was held at his parents' home in Zola, Soweto. This because Brown Dash did not have a house of his own. When his music was flourishing, he rented a post-cluster house in Fourways, north of Joburg, where he stayed with his late wife, who had passed away a year before after a long illness. The couple moved back to Soweto when his career started floundering. By the time of his death, Dash was staying in a commune in Malville. Dash had topped May's list of fastest rising internet searches in South Africa, outranking the controversial painting of President Jacob Zuma. In May 2016, the Mahlomola Kekana Foundation launched the Brown Dash tribute concert at the Soweto Theatre. The foundation officially launched the tribute to one of Soweto's finest Kwaito legends, with the honorary concert taking place on Heritage Day at the Orlando Stadium that year. Mahlomola Kekana said the aim of the concert was to continue the legacy that Mampile had started and to enable those he has left behind to enjoy his riches. His immediate family members were present to witness the launch of this tribute concert. When he started out in 1997, the greatest challenge for Brown was quote-unquote making my presence felt in an industry where established artists do not favor the idea of giving a chance to upcoming artists. There have been a lot of positive changes within the Kwaito industry since I started, but still, all those who aspire to being recording artists have to first get their education. Young people found solace in Dash's music, and his artistic performances resonated with their personal circumstances. Even though former label bosses DJ Swu and Cleo emphasized Dash did not write his lyrics, his presence and character in reciting those lyrics made the songs what they were. We do not focus solely on Kwaito artists' lyrical abilities more than we focus on their personality and presence in their delivery. It all goes hand in hand. Dash made music that represented every Kasi gent in the streets who was just trying to make ends meet, who loved their high school sweetheart and wanted to place them in the center of their universe with the little that he had. He symbolized those youths that dreamt of stardom but had no distinct glamour appeal to make it. He was inarticulate, unemployable, and aimless, but he had one concealed magical spark within him to turn whatever he touched into gold. Brown Dash became a household name, defined Kwaito in his own way, and made being ghetto look cool and okay. He gave us love songs, friendship songs, party songs. He gave us songs for plenty gatherings. His love song, Vum Vum, was later sampled on MT's Money Game, another beautiful love song from his debut album Avery. Reese Madlisa referenced the cover of Mthandazo Wabolova for the cover of his EP Kwaito Namamedi. You can hear and see his influence in modern-day Pantsulas like Reese Madlisa himself and the likes of Toss and others. 2024 marks 12 years since the untimely passing of Brown Dash, but his legacy remains unrivaled, and the hits we remember him by are a testament to his everlasting greatness. Rest in peace, Pure. You will forever be remembered.